So I'm hoping everybody can see my screen and you're able to just notice that the title of tonight's talk will be about entrance assessments. Yes, we are a highly selective school. North London Collegiate School Kobe is an academic school. And I want to encourage you to bring your children forward for entrance assessment and to apply to our community to think if your child will learn well at our school. My name is Mrs. Elizabeth Gunzi. I am Vice Principal and Academic Lead at the school, and I'm here to really help you and support you on your journey. So we'll make a start. Assessments. In terms of our school, we have a wonderful curriculum. We are offering a very exceptional education to our students. It is academically rigorous and very challenging, and we want to ensure that all of our students feel challenged as they learn. It is also inquiry-based. We want our children to ask questions, to be investigative, to see learning as dynamic and an interactive experience. Our curriculum is also international. It is very much looking at global examples and trying to prepare children to be global citizens. It is very outward looking. And our curriculum will also be absolutely unique and special because we want it to be integrated with Japanese language, culture, heritage, and values. Our children will have the opportunity to also learn about Japanese culture because our school is based in Japan and we want to celebrate this. All students will be taught by excellent teachers who inspire a love of learning in our students. Our students are inspired by teachers who are enthusiastic and genuinely love their own subjects. Students will be encouraged to think independently as opposed to just regurgitate and learn off by memory information. We want them to ask questions that they think are interesting and to try and answer those questions and to be really quite adventurous in how they approach their learning. They will take risks, they will hypothesize, they will make suggestions. And we think this kind of curiosity will really help them to engage with learning in a very positive way. We want them to embrace the challenge of learning. Our students will be very self-motivated. They will be very much key drivers of their own learning. And we think as such, they will love and enjoy the process. Our students love learning. In terms of applying to the school, we have quite an easy set of steps to try and help you navigate this process. Firstly, we'd love you to get in touch with us. So please fill in an inquiry form. Let us know your contact details, and then we'll be able to help you. Then we would encourage you to submit an application form. Again, this is the next stage in the process, and it's guided, and there's opportunities for you to ask for help if you encounter any problems with filling in that form. After you've applied, we will be in touch with you to organise the next step, the entrance assessments. So we will arrange a suitable time when you and your child can come to visit us in the marketing suite at ESC Garage and Club. And it's here at that centre that we will conduct these entrance assessments. And it's these assessments that I'm going to tell you a little bit more information about during this evening session. Based on those assessments, we will then be able to, we hope, make an offer to your child to come and join us at North London Collegiate School Kobe. And with due consideration, if you were to accept that offer, we would ask you then to formally accept and enroll your child. So there are 5 clear stages that we would like you to progress through. And really today, I'm just focusing on the entrance assessment stage. At any point in this process, please feel that you can come and visit us in the marketing suite at ESC Garage and Club. That's where we have a base at the moment in Osaka. And we are open Monday to Friday, and usually from 9 to 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. We're available. We can also be very flexible if you have difficulty in coming to see us in those times. Just get in touch and we will try and meet you at a suitable time. In terms of our school, I just want to be clear so that everybody knows which building and which school we're talking about. The junior school will be based in the Asia One Centre on Rocco Island in Kobe. And it's very exciting. This is due to open in August 2025. The junior school will be open to students in grades 1 to 6, so children of age 6 to 12 years old, and it's for boys and girls. The senior school will be under construction. It's in the Rocco Mountains. This is a project that is due to open in 2028. It's a beautiful, ambitious plan, and we're very excited to see how the school will develop. It will be for grades 6 to 12, and that will be for children aged 11 to 18. There will also be boarding available at the school, and there will be day places as well. So not all students need to board. There's flexibility. So in terms of applying to our school, we need to be absolutely clear what you're applying to. And at this stage, most of the families who've come forward are applying for our junior school. However, you can still get in touch with us and apply for senior school places in the future if you are interested. So, onto the subject of entrance assessments. And I think as a parent, whenever you hear the word assessment, perhaps you become a little bit nervous. I'm aware that some of you may be concerned about entrance assessments. And the first thing I'd like to say to you is please don't worry. Please do not be anxious about our entrance assessments. We are not testing parents. We are not testing you as parents. There is no test for you to complete. You do not need to be able to speak English. This is for parents. Parents do not need to be able to speak English. So I know some of you have already expressed that you are a little nervous approaching us because you are worried about that. Please don't be. Please reach out. We do have a lot of translation support in the team, and we're happy to speak and communicate with you in Japanese. So we are not testing you, parents. We are really interested in your children. We are testing to discover what your child knows. Yes, to some extent, what they know and what they can do. But most importantly, is we are trying to test how your child thinks. We really want to know what kind of learner they are. If we understand how your child thinks, this will help us to understand how your child learns. So, the entrance tests that we try to conduct have been carefully selected because we want them to actually help your child in their learning journey. The tests that we conduct are highly stimulating, and they're actually enjoyable. If tests can be enjoyable, they're actually quite fun. So much so that children who have come to complete tests with us have actually said, "Can I go back tomorrow and do more testing?" Yes, it sounds quite shocking, but some children have actually expressed this, and thank you, kind parents who have let us know this. It's really reassuring. So some children find this experience fun. These entrance assessments do not require any extra cramming or preparation. We don't want your children to feel under pressure to do lots of revision the night before. It will not help them. There is no requirement to prepare for these tests. The tests also provide a wonderful data-informed insight into how your child thinks and learns. And that insight helps us understand how to help them in the classroom. So it supports teachers in their planning and in their classroom practice. We hope that with very effective entrance testing, before your child has even stepped into the classroom in August 2025, their teacher will already have an idea of how best to support your child's learning. So there's not this delay. We already know quite a bit about your child based on how we can analyse their performance in the entrance assessment. So I hope you can see from this that testing is not about you, parents. It is about your child, that your child might find this experience enjoyable and that it's really beneficial to them to take part in these tests. And really, we are doing this testing not just because we believe it's really great experience for children, but because we want to check that your child is able to access the curriculum that we offer. So we want children to be happy at NLCS Kobe. We believe that happy children who are content and supported, learn well and progress. So in order to be able to learn and to admit the right children, we need to check this, and we do so with the entrance assessments. We believe that developing literacy and reading ability is fundamental to students' ability to access our curriculum. Our curriculum is delivered in English, so it's very important that children in our school have acquired developing literacy and reading skills so that they are able to learn geography, history, science, which will all be taught in English. In the entrance assessment, we will test your child's ability in English language and in maths. So we are looking at their attainment and what do they know already. But we also want to know how they think. So we will be looking at their reasoning skills. How can they spot patterns with words? How can they see sequences with numbers? How can they understand different shapes and recognize different spatial patterns? By giving them a series of questions about that, we're not really expecting your child to know the answer, but to think through how they would find an answer. And it's that thought process that we want to observe. We want to get to know your child and spend time with them in this test. And we hope that they will also have a really positive experience. So the main reason for us to do these tests is to find out about your child's cognitive skills and how your child learns. In terms of the logistics of what the tests are kind of like, what are the tests like? Well, the tests are different for students of different ages. So students of different ages will complete different tests. They might be called the same thing. So they might both be doing the same named test, but the actual questions will be adjusted to be age appropriate. And some of the tests are leveled at particular age groups. The tests are age appropriate. They are also, and I've got this word here on my slide, it says they are also adaptive, meaning that the tests are changing and they are very clever to respond to your child's needs. So these tests are completed on an iPad, they are digital, and they use a form of artificial intelligence to analyze how a student is answering questions, and based on that information, then select and offer questions that further challenge your child. So no two tests are the same, and they are very much adapting to how your child is responding in the test situation. Children will be helped to use an iPad or a laptop, and they'll also be using headphones so they can listen to the instructions that are given to them. Those instructions are really quite minimal, and they don't require a lot of English. The tests are timed, but that timing is quite generous. They're often given time to complete their questions and then go back and see if they want to check or make any amendments to their answers. And I've put there again, just to reiterate, that tests are quite stimulating and enjoyable because some of the questions are puzzling and they do actually spark some curiosity. Children like to engage with them. This is quite a complicated grid. I don't want you to be panicked when you see it. It's a comprehensive overview of the different types of tests that children of different ages will be subject to. So if the current age of your child is between 5 and 8, and they are applying for entry to grades 1 to 3, for example, they will be completing what we call the new group reading test, the new group maths test. And if they are going to grades 2 and 3, they will complete a CAT 4 test. Notice that those CAT 4 tests are of different age appropriate levels. And similarly, those different combined tests will require different amounts of time for testing. So our youngest children would be subject to about an hour and a half of testing, and that increases to 3 hours for children who are entering grades 2 and 3. For older children, children between the ages of 8 to 11 who are applying for entry to grade 4 and 6, they will also be completing the CAT 4 test of different levels, but they will, for their English assessment and their maths assessment, complete tests that are called progress tests in English and progress tests in maths. Again, they are age appropriate and of different levels depending on age. Please notice that the time requirement is also lengthened for children who are older. So about 5 hours of testing is required. And why have we chosen these tests? So the new group reading test, the new group maths test, specifically the progress tests in English, the progress tests in maths, as well as the CAT 4 tests. These are what are referred to as standardized tests. They have been administered and scored in a very consistent way to ensure that they are really fair, really reliable, and of high quality. They are very comprehensive. Because they are completed by a large number of students, they provide a large sample of results to show comparison and the significance of your child's data with a larger cohort of results. So we can really see where your child is performing at an average level, above or below. These types of assessments can project future academic performance based on data. So rather than just hypothesizing how a child might do, we've got a feeling they'll do well. This is a data-informed way to really try and predict or project a child of this ability at this age, what they might be able to achieve in the future. And again, these entrance assessments are completed on the computer, or a laptop or a tablet or an iPad, and they are very accessible and user-friendly. So we've chosen to do these tests because we believe they're very high quality. In English, this is when we're just looking at English ability, reading skills, comprehension. So if a child can read a passage and then answer questions showing understanding, we would be using the new group reading test. Again, this test is adaptive, meaning that the questions are automatically presented based on a child's ability to complete them. So children are always being challenged up to a point where they start to feel they can't answer questions. I'll speak a little bit more about what happens when they can't answer questions in a moment. Please don't worry about that. That's all part of the process. For children applying for grades 4 to 6, they'd be completing the progress test in English. This is designed to assess each student's attainment in English again, and it's tailored to the age of the child. So, for example, phonics knowledge and skills will be tested for the youngest age group, how well children can recognize words or sound words or decode words, whereas spelling, punctuation, grammar will be tested perhaps for the older children. In terms about tests in maths, for grades 1 to 3, the new group maths test will be used. This is measuring mathematical skill and understanding to see how well your child can apply maths facts and procedures and operations, and your child's ability to reason and solve problems using number. Again, this test for the youngest children is adaptive, meaning that the questions change depending on how they have answered previous questions. For children who are applying to grades 4 to 6, the progress test in maths is used. This is designed to assess each student's attainment in maths, so their ability. Again, we're looking at their level of mathematical skill and knowledge. So we might ask them about numbers, about shape, how they handle data. So there might be a graph to read, or there might be a pictogram to try and decode. They will need to have possibly some understanding of algebra, as well as their ability to use numbers to solve problems, to offer reasoning. Again, the progress test in maths is tailored to the age of the child. There is also some mental maths, so the ability to think through and operate with maths and number without writing down any answers. This is included for students aged 8 to 11, so our older applicants. So those two tests in English and tests in maths, are very much to do with attainment. And this brings me on to a different type of test, our CAT4 test. Now, there are different types of assessment, those that test ability or those that test attainment. The tests that we use for English and maths are very much looking at attainment, so looking at ability in English and in maths. But the CAT4 test is different. The CAT4 test is looking for cognitive ability testing. These tests require no preparation. They assess regardless of previous teaching and schooling. They give an indication of the ability of a child to learn, and they're often used right at the beginning of the academic year before learning starts to happen in school, to help teachers prepare so they know how best to teach your child. So the CAT4 test is one of these assessments that really looks at ability as opposed to attainment. The CAT4 test stands for the Cognitive Abilities Test, 4th edition. That's why it has this strange name. And it really is developed to understand how students think, to recognize and identify their cognitive abilities and their likely academic potential. The CAT4 assesses the ability to reason with and manipulate different types of material. And that material might be in the form of words or numbers. So, for example, children who are quite good with English language or very confident with numbers will also perhaps be quite confident with thinking and processing with words and numbers. But we are also looking through the CAT4 at your child's ability to think and reason with shape and space. I'll try and describe a little bit more what I mean by that. So this slide may appear very small on your screens, and please don't worry, I will attach this with the PowerPoint to the website so that you can download it for later reference. In terms of reasoning with words, a child may be given a series of words like rain, fog, sunshine, and they would have to simply click on one of the optional words given to them on the iPad to select what they think might be the next associated word. So in this case, rain, fog, sunshine matches well with snow. For numbers, similarly, they might be given a sequence of numbers. They need to engage with that, look at those numbers, look at the options of numbers available, and then try and suggest which number they predict might be next in the series. So there's not a lot of explanation, there's not a lot of question involved, there's not a lot of text for them to read. They would simply have to look at the numbers and then click on the answer that they think is appropriate. In terms of looking at shape, looking at figures, they might have a series of different shapes. And again, they have to try and select from a group of 5 what they think the next shape might be. And in terms of spatial reasoning, they are given a shape with 5 different options, and they need to try and identify where that shape be placed within the shape of the 5 options, which one of those 5 can neatly hold the shape that has been shown to them. They do give a very nice demonstration where they show the shape moving and sitting in the image, so the child is very clear about what they're looking to do with that. But again, the idea is that they are given options and they need to select, and they're really looking at patterns here. This is something they can't revise for, and they're not supposed to really be they don't know this off by heart. They can't memorize this information. We're looking at how they respond. So just to give you an idea, in terms of verbal or reasoning with words, so a child may have happy, sad, frightened. You could just have a look at some of those options. Think about what you would opt for. Or they might have cow, arrow, milk. Cow is to milk. Chicken, arrow, something else. So they would need to choose which word they think best answers that sequence. So well done. If you looked at that and you were thinking angry and egg, you've got the answer right. So this is the kind of thing that they would be required to do. Unlike in this scenario where you can see what the correct answer is because I've just showed it to you, children won't see that during the assessment. They won't know, having clicked on the answer, if it's correct or not. It's just going to be submitted and they move on to the next question. So with number, you might have 5 to 4, 8 to 7, 3 to what? And a child will need to select one of these answers. There might be a series, 10, 15, 20, and a child would have to think, well, what number comes next? And select the number that they think is most appropriate. And so if you answered 2, and if you answered 25, again, you've got the answer correct. Well done. So this is showing that ability to reason and process with numbers. So that was in terms of verbal reasoning and numerical reasoning, reasoning with words and reasoning with numbers. But when we come to shapes and space, we are very keen to understand more about how your children are able to think, because we believe that this is such a significant indication, and it tells us a lot about your child's potential aptitude for subjects such as physics or design, engineering and architecture. All of those fields draw on visual spatial abilities. So a child, even at very early age, displaying these strengths really show us that perhaps they have a tendency or an ability that may lead them to excel in these fields. We also love this element of testing here in our context of serving Japanese and international families and children who don't have English as a first language, because they do not rely on reading. These tests are very easy for people who don't have English as a first language to participate in. They're very useful when assessing children who perhaps have reading difficulties as well. So here are some examples. If you were to have a series of shapes like this and a series of options, just thinking what you would select. Again, a series of different shapes. And here are the right answers, just to give you an idea. And in terms of spatial, these are a little bit more complicated. A child may be shown these kind of images. Here we've got a piece of paper that's been folded once, folded twice, and then hole punched. And the child has to try and identify, well, what would that look like if the page was then opened up again? Here with figure recognition, I'm looking at this shape and I'm trying to see, well, which of these 5, A to E, does this shape fit into? So here are the correct answers, just to give you some perspective of the kind of questions that children are facing. I really want to emphasize that we are trying to challenge your child. Some of the tests may start really quite easily, but they become progressively harder. They are adaptive, so they will keep trying to take the child to the point where they feel that it's difficult. And that's good. We want our children to not worry if they can't answer the questions. We expect students to not know all of the answers. This is absolutely fine. But please, as parents, please help us with this preparation for your child, and please prepare them for this. So tell them, don't worry if you find a question you can't answer. Just keep going, just keep trying. We've been so impressed with the children who've done assessments already, and they've shown a lot of resilience and a lot of confidence, and that's what we want. We just want them to keep going. In addition to the tests, there is an interview with either myself or Mr. Matt Williams, our principal, and this is really a lovely opportunity to have a conversation with your child. We want them to feel comfortable, we want them to be quite open with us, and it's really quite informal. We might ask them to draw a picture, we might ask them to describe something for us or draw something on a whiteboard. We're really looking to see how well they're able to communicate. We're looking at their ability in English. We're looking at their school readiness, their behaviour. Are they able to follow instructions? Do they seem quite comfortable? How sociable are they? So it's the entrance assessment as well as the interview that we take into consideration before offering your child a place. In terms of where testing takes place, we are based at the ESC Garage and Club in the marketing suite and the test centre. And here is a photo of the test centre to give you a little bit of an idea. There are some little tables for drawing or reading, some test desks. There's often an activity on the mat for the children to get on with so they feel comfortable. When you would be offered a testing day, and usually for grades 1, 2 and 3, that would mean a morning testing session. We would ask you to please arrive at 9 a.m. and we would keep your children until about 12 noon, and then testing would be complete. For older children applying to grades 4 to 6, they would come in the morning, spend from 9 to 12 noon with us. Then we would ask you parents to collect your child and take them for lunch, only to return them to us in the afternoon for a little bit more testing from 1 to 3:30. Please note that these times do change occasionally. It depends on internet, and depends on how fast your child is working, and just to see how, as well, some of the nice activities that we do with your child, how long they take, whether we're colouring or reading or playing a game. So some flexibility is required. We will, of course, notify you if we would like you to collect your child earlier or later. Please, when you bring your child for testing, could you encourage them to have with them a reading book, ideally in English, because then they could read to us from a book that they feel comfortable in sharing. A snack. Please do not bring food containing nuts, just to make sure that allergies and children who might be at risk are not exposed to that. And please have a drink ready for your child, because it's a long day and they need to keep hydrated. It's usually a really lovely day, and we have enjoyed being with your children during this testing. Yeah, can I come back tomorrow and do more testing? It's a lovely sentiment that children are having fun when they come and spend time with us. We will email or call you to let you know the results of the entrance assessments in 3 working days after the test and the interview. And if successful, you'll receive an offer letter by email, and then you'll be able to accept it and confirm your place by paying the enrolment fee. If you're unsuccessful on this occasion, if perhaps the result is not one on which we can base an offer, please don't worry. We are very happy to meet with you to discuss your child's test performance in those events, and we may indeed encourage you to stay in touch and apply again in the future. In terms of the results, we will analyse all of the factors of assessment. So we'll look at their performance scores, their level of English, their reading ability, as well as their sociability and school readiness. We're really looking overall at if we think this particular child will be happy learning at NLCS Kobe. We do get very detailed statistical analysis of your child's performance. So we will have data on their verbal, quantitative, non-verbal, and spatial abilities. And this is scored. It's called a standard age score. And this is a very important piece of information. Perhaps it helps us see your student's raw score that has been adjusted to be in sync with their age, and as a result placed on a scale that makes it comparable with national data. We look at if the average performance level of this test is 100, we are looking to admit children who have a mean score of 120. So we are looking for children who are already demonstrating above average ability. But what is so interesting is that we may have some children who are perhaps weaker in demonstrating their ability to think with words, and their English ability may be slightly lower. However, that is really compensated by strong ability in numeracy and in spatial and pattern development. So overall, because of this kind of test, we can see where a child is weaker in English, their other abilities raise their average. So we are still very keen to offer places in this instance. Please be of the understanding that we do not share detailed results with you parents, because they're very complicated and we do not offer this service. But please be assured that it is based on very informed data, our decision-making process, whether to offer your child a place or not. So just to reiterate, please do not be anxious about our entrance assessments. Please be assured that they are reliable and that we have lots of confidence in them. And we're only doing them because we think they will really help your child. They provide a wonderful data-informed insight, and they really help us to teach your child well. They do not require any extra preparation. In terms of more help, we are always here to support you, and please don't think that your questions are silly. We want you to ask them, because if you have a question, it's probably something that is very easy to answer. Please be in touch by email. I can share this presentation with you. I can share a translated presentation with you. We'll also share this recording with you so you can hear it again. If you have any questions, please feel free to email in Japanese, because we have a lot of Japanese translation support available to us. And I'm also very happy to meet with you and to discuss this face to face. Just come and see us here in our marketing suite and at the test centre. We're at ESC Garage and Club. Children, you are very welcome to also come with your parents and talk to me and the team. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. I encourage you, if you have already engaged with learning lots of information about our school, take the next step. Please submit your application. We would love to start the process of preparing your entrance assessment and encouraging you to come and visit us. Many people are already showing interest, and we've received lots of applications, which is wonderful. So please start that process. If you are somebody who is yet to hear much about North London Collegiate School, we would love for you to attend an introductory talk. We are presenting at the Sheraton Hotel on Rocco Island in Kobe on the 25th of January. That's Saturday, the 25th of January. The event starts at 9:45 for registration. And really, the purpose of this is to hear from Mr. Matt Williams, our principal, about the nature of the school, a little bit of information about what North London Collegiate School Kobe is all about. I'll also be presenting a little bit about the curriculum at that meeting. So thank you so much, parents, for your attention and your interest this evening, for giving up your time to listen to this. Please stay in touch with us. I hope that we see and make contact with you soon. We would love to work in partnership with you to support your children. Thank you again. Please check the website for if you would like to join us at the Sheraton Hotel. If you would like to hear this presentation again, the recording will be available, and also the translation in Japanese will be available through the link on the website. Thank you, everybody.